Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Modern Lawyers Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I'll be your host, Ali Razavi, and I'm accompanied by two great attorneys, Attorney Gabriel Vai and Attorney Cameron Bidgoli. How are you two doing today?
Doing well.
Good. Got my coffee.
It's always a good day when you have your coffee. How are you guys holding up with the weather? This, I guess, the worst storm that we've had in the past 5 years?
I can say that seasonal depression is real. No, but it's a good change of pace. Never happens in California, really. So it's a necessary evil.
Yeah, it's really nice to see everything growing and green, and we didn't really get that for quite some time.
Yeah, I know your heart's in Washington. I mean, is this a little taste of it?
Oh no, I don't like the rain too much, so 2 days was enough.
It's different. It's different, and I think it's good. It's good, obviously, for the atmosphere and the weather, but I don't think it's something I can get used to. Like, it's not for me.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah. And for people that are on the road, make sure to drive safely. There's been a lot of car crashes, so try to limit your time on the road. But today we wanted to talk about Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer, also known as ChatGPT. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's highly advanced artificial intelligence language model. Can one of you guys tell me what that is?
Yeah, so basically you have a website, a program that you can plug in prompts to. You give it certain restrictions, you give it certain guidelines, and it will create what you ask it to. So if you want it to write an essay with certain parameters, you give the parameters and it will spit out an essay for you in 1/10 of a time that it would take a human.
So those days where, I don't know, in college people would pay other people to write essays for you, that's not happening anymore?
Yeah, that's over.
So you can literally tell them, this is the topic, this is the subtopic, these are the parameters, it needs to be this many words, and it'll shoot you like an A+ paper?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for the most part, whatever you put into it, you get out of it, just like anything else in life, right? So if you have good parameters, if you define them correctly, if you refine them as you go through it, it'll eventually get you to what you want it to produce.
I don't know about an A+, but maybe a C paper.
Right.
Yeah.
C's get degrees, right?
Depends on who's asking, probably. What's going on with that? I see so much buzz online about ChatGPTs like taking over the world. I mean, are we going to be ran by artificial intelligence?
I think the thing about ChatGPT is it's input driven, right? So it's taking things that people have to put into it. It's only as good as the data that it has. Obviously, it's accumulating a lot more data now because people are using it more frequently. But when it comes to legal aspects and these types of things in our world, it's only as good as the parameters that it's already seen. And the law, as we all know, is constantly developing. There's new laws written every day, new cases that are moved forward. So it's only as good as it's updated, but still, I don't think it necessarily has the nuance that is needed to keep up with everything in the legal industry.
Well, I mean, how accurate could that be? I heard it passed the California bar exam.
I mean, the California bar exam is very formulaic. It is very tedious and time consuming, and it's challenging, obviously. We all see the pass rates, and obviously I failed once. But I heard ChatGPT failed also, and it's the second time bar taker. So we're just like ChatGPT over here.
ChatGPT is the second time bar taker. That's funny. I like that. That's a hard exam. That's not a normal exam. And I remember when we passed that exam, got a letter that said you passed the most difficult exam in America, but this AI is able to beat that test.
Yeah, I mean, like Gabe said, it's input driven. So it learns as you go through the steps, as you go through the prompts. And this was the second time it took the bar exam. So a lot of us have seen the first bar exam. We take the second one. It's more familiar to us. We're just like ChatGPT as well. But the fact is that ChatGPT can remember these things to 100 percentile, right? There's no forgetting if you're ChatGPT. So I think that's where it can be used as a tool for us, right? ChatGPT is not going to forget information for us. It can reuse that information in a more efficient and helpful way, and we can use that as a tool. The interesting thing about ChatGPT, on the second time it took the bar exam, it passed at a 90th percentile. Now, the bar exam is multiple portions, right? There's an essay portion and there's a multiple choice portion. Multiple choice, it scored a 75%. The human average is a 68%. So there's only a 7% difference on that. Again, second time test takers, that might be a little bit higher on the human average. It might be closer to 75%. The essay portion, I know Mr. Vi over here mentioned to us earlier that, it's not very good with the substantive part of law. It's good with the procedures, the rules, things like that. But when you get into, the two sides of the coin of law, right, there's always an argument for and against. When it got into that, it barely passed the essays. It got a 4.2 average when a passing is a 4.0.
Wow. So, but I mean, when you say that the more that you feed it, the more that it learns, I mean, can't you just have these mega law firms feed it just so much literature that it can start thinking like a lawyer and ultimately have the substance down? Maybe it's not today, but tomorrow or the future.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that's the goal, right? We want it to get to that point so that we can use it properly. It will never replace a human. It won't replace a lawyer, right? We have intangible, characteristics that you cannot replace. Going through law school, the main thing they teach you is there's two sides to the coin. In ChatGPT, it gives you the correct answer versus a lawyer will give you both possible options, both possible scenarios, and you have to decide which one is more likely for you.
Yeah, just to speak on that too, the bar exam is difficult, but it's not practicing law. For all those who have never taken the bar exam or practiced law, it's not the same as practicing law. It's very different than what we deal with on a day-to-day basis. Our job is a lot more nuanced. We have so many more circumstances in the bar. We have to deal with human emotions. We're up in trials with a jury that is they're basing their decision off a lot of human factors that ChatGPT really hasn't taken into consideration yet. Could it develop with these things? I don't know, but I don't think it's there yet. Studies have shown, like Mr. Bigoli was saying, that it's very good with procedural issues like statutes, criminal laws, some of the basic traffic violations, those kinds of things. Also things like discovery, tedious things like summarizing certain items, but it's not so good at things like drafting motions, really that require a lot of interpretation of the law, maximizing our clients' facts and circumstances in a way where we can, tell their story in the best way possible.
I completely agree with that. And, as an attorney, you take an oath of integrity and you have a fiduciary duty to your client. So, I mean, it also takes a certain type of attorney to put the responsibility on ChatGPT. I mean, if anything goes wrong with AI, the AI is not going to get in trouble. It's not AI's license. It's your license that's going to be on the line. So that's another concern because you can't just let AI take the wheel, right?
Yeah, and one of the big issues with, I think, ChatGPT is, as lawyers, we're bound by confidentiality and a duty of competence, right? We can't just allow or rely on ChatGPT, one, to, assume that it's acting competently. And we don't even understand necessarily the algorithms of ChatGPT, so we can't explain why it's coming up with that answer, right? We have a duty to know why it's producing the answer it is, and it's not necessarily interpretable for us. And ChatGPT doesn't share exactly how it came to the conclusion, right? So that is a concern. Another concern is it's input driven, right? Meaning we have to share our clients' confidential information. Right. So there's privacy issues with it. So you really have to have a secure parameters around what's coming in. So if you were to have a ChatGPT system, you would have to secure what's coming in and making sure our clients' information doesn't go out. And that involves a lot of, obviously a lot of security, and it's very costly. It could be actually very, it could cost the client more to implement a system like that.
Sure. I mean, I think it's fair to say that ChatGPT can take the role of a lawyer, but is there a place for ChatGPT in the legal world?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said earlier, it's a tool for us to use. And I think that's where the future lies. Everyone knows lawyers are busy. Every profession nowadays in this society, in this economy is very busy. The way we evolve as a society is going to be how to use this AI in order to make our lives a little bit easier, so we can take on more work, we can finish more product, we can help more clients. In our lives, we use our phones. Siri is an AI. You can use Siri to schedule, you can use Siri to remind, to show you where to go. In the legal world, we use different AIs, we use different technologies to help us with drafting discovery, things that are very repetitive, to be more efficient, to have these templates set up for us so that we can go in and do the substantive work and just focus on that. So saving an hour here and there really means a lot, because I can help another client in that hour.
Absolutely. I mean, just the search engines that we use, Westlaw, LexisNexis, that's AI in itself that helps jeopardize and find legal authorities that previously would have to go to a library, for hours and try to find some type of case that's on point. So ChatGPT could maybe assist with legal research, maybe document preparation, client communication even, but it definitely can't take over being a lawyer.
Right. I think it's about supplementing our work, not replacing it. Right. That's the important thing. And yeah, definitely, I agree with both of you. I think AI is very helpful, to assist us and supplement our work. I can't replace, though, I think the nuance and especially the personal skills, obviously, that our work requires.
Yeah. I mean, would you guys agree that it's important for any lawyer, doesn't matter the age or how long you've been practicing, it's important to keep up with the times? I mean, you can't just stick your head in the ground and say, ChatGPT doesn't exist, I'm not going to listen to this AI. It's all hocus pocus. Like, you have to accept that it's out there and how to implement it to your practice.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we all know attorneys that are a little bit older that still handwrite some of their discovery or their complaints. If you don't move on with the times, you're going to get left behind. So just like you said earlier, we used to have to go into libraries to find our case law. Now we have search engines, right? That takes a whole half a day away from traveling to the library, looking it up. It's a quick search. So when it comes down to AI and trying to be a part of that new wave, you're going to get left behind, right? Clients are going to want the most up-to-date lawyer. And that's what we like to provide here. We like to be modern lawyers. We like to be ahead of the curve. So anything we can get our hands on to improve our skill set and to bolster, what the client is going to receive at the end, that product, we're going to take that opportunity.
So ChatGPT is going to be a supplement for attorneys in their practice.
Yeah, 100%. And it's nice to embrace technology, right? No one wants to see me look through a 500-page Westlaw book, flip through the answers, where Mr. Bigoli's over there just typing it into a search engine and being able to find that information really quickly. No client's going to be happy with that.
Yeah, just one word while you're billing.
Exactly.
Talking about keywords is really interesting that ChatGPT has the ability to take down Google. For all the attorneys that are advertising and their marketing, and that's how they get a lot of their clientele, generally you'll use SEO, you use AdWords through Google, and actually that's Google's number one way of making money. They make money by selling AdWords. ChatGPT has the ability to inundate these AdWords, right? These keywords just over and over and over and break Google's pattern and can basically make Google not profitable. Their biggest income driver, which is AdWords, it can make them not profitable. So Google's making its own artificial intelligence called Brat, I believe. Is it Bart?
Bard.
Bart.
I believe it's Bard.
Bart. Making its own artificial intelligence to kind of counteract this whole thing. But it's something to think about for all attorneys that are advertising right now, that the landscape is changing. It's changing every day. And on that note, I mean, having artificial intelligence come and take over law firms, there's been talk about not just that, but big investors coming in, taking over law firms, Amazon and Google's of the world coming over and taking over law firms. I mean, we've touched about this previously, but is it true that potentially in California, when non-attorneys can own law firms, these just big behemoths are going to come and control everything? I mean, can non-lawyers really take over law firms and practice law?
I think it's a concern for obviously lawyers, for us, it's a concern more so, I think, for prospective clients or clients who are looking for representation. Obviously, everybody knows that Amazon offers the cheapest prices, the most accessibility, but their product is mostly homogenous, right? It's not really about detailing for the customer, right? What law firms offer is, and what our law firm offers is customer service and nuance, relationship with the client. And, we're very passionate about our cases and our representation for the clients. If you have like a Google or Amazon, you're just another number to them, right? Just another click that they want you to sign up on. All of us got into the law, obviously, not only, obviously to practice the law, but to help people and to make sure that, they're taken care of and to develop those personal relationships with our clients. One of the things that I'm really passionate about, and I think that we can all agree in why we ended up, practicing law, is because it's a very challenging field, but it's also a very rewarding field. It fulfills that inner sense of fulfillment within me to compete. It's kind of like we all played sports here. I know we both of us had played football, and all of you played soccer. As adults, we don't really have that outlet anymore to compete, right? I wish I could run a 4.40, but unfortunately,
Could you ever?
On my good days, maybe, buddy. But yeah. But obviously, I can't do that kind of stuff anymore. But this kind of gives me an arena to have that competitive drive to compete and go against the insurance companies and other people who help the insurance companies to try to get the best outcome for our clients. I think kind of that some of that is kind of lost when you have a big company like an Amazon or a Google, where there's no why to it other than profit, right? There's no reason for it other than, well, who can sign the most clients? How can we make the most money, right? So that's an aspect that I think will be missed, and I think that Google or Amazon can't replace.
Absolutely. It dawned on me, last night I got a haircut and I went to this little small mom and pop shop that was open late. That's why I went there in the first place. They had to be open later than everybody else. And that's how they probably get their business. That's not easy to be open till 9:30, 10 p.m. at night doing haircuts all day. But at the end of it, he showed me some hair product and he wanted to sell it to me. And at the very end, he said, or you can purchase it from Amazon for cheaper. And it dawned on me. I said, is that what the legal world is going to be like? Are we going to get replaced by Amazon because they're going to do it faster, better, cheaper? Needless to say, I got the product from him, but I don't think that's going to be a concern for the law. I really don't think that's going to be a concern, because the way that we run our practice, we're so intimate with our clients' files. We know the client. We have a personal relationship with the client. And I don't think Amazon coming in or Google or anybody that has unlimited funds will be able to replicate that human factor that we provide at Razavi Law Group.
Yeah, absolutely. My main concern with big companies coming in and buying out law firms is just the ethical obligations that they would have. We already have, interests in our clients' cases, right? We want to win our clients as much money as possible. Right? At the end of the day, we want them to go home with as much money in their pocket as possible. So we have an interest to make them more money, and it makes our firm more money as well. For Google and Amazon, like Mr. Vi said, it's all profit, right? And there's an ethical gray area where it's, do they actually care about getting you the most money, or do they care about getting their money and moving on, right? You said faster, cheaper, more efficient. Right, there's a certain point where, they might spend another 2 months on a case and get the client more money, and that means the world to them, right? A couple $1,000s in some people's pocket means a lot of money. It's a lot of money to them. And to Google, that just doesn't matter, right? They might just end the case, settle the case, move on. So I think that's where my issue with huge companies coming in is, you lose that human element, you lose pretty much everything that has to do with that connection that we like to provide.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think Amazon, Google, and we just use those names because they're big corporations that people know, but I don't think they can come and they're going to affect the landscape, but they can't replicate an attorney. They can't replicate a lawyer and the oath that we took and the fiduciary duty that we have to our client.
Exactly. And what is the law if it's not based off of ethics, because that's what the law is, right? It's to enforce ethical standards that our community has. And that just kind of doesn't coexist with what Google and Amazon's mission is. So I completely agree with you, Cameron.
Yeah, and I mean, when you became an attorney and you made that oath, you also took a moral character and fitness exam. If we have individuals or corporations running a law firm and they never had to take that moral character and fitness exam, what standard? Where's the ethics? I mean, there's not going to be a standard for ethics at that point. So I think it would do a lot of harm, obviously, if people think that they can replicate attorneys. 'Cause it's not going to happen. It can't.
Exactly. And that's why people still buy handmade materials, right? As opposed to just some synthetic thing that's produced by a machine, right? Yeah, I could get a bedstand or, a dresser that's, cheap and it's from IKEA that's manufactured by some kind of manufacturing plant for low cost, right? But people are still going to pay for that quality item, that artisan item that's like handcrafted, right? Hand carved. There's a reason for that. It's because there's still care, detail, and precision that's required in our field.
And do you think with self-automated cars, Tesla, that's going to be an issue for the legal world?
I mean, it's a factor. It's definitely a factor in the legal world. Self-automated cars have been promised to us, years ago by Tesla. I believe 2020, he said that there was going to be a fleet of taxis, self-driving, that could, replace Uber, could replace taxis, replace any transportation. The issues that they have with that is, how do you program the AI, right? It's the same thing as ChatGPT. You have to input parameters for it to follow. And then it uses the cameras and it uses that AI software to make decisions based on what it sees. I know in the past month, over 300,000 Teslas have been recalled because the DOJ is asking Tesla to prove up the self-driving research and the automation that they have. And Tesla just hasn't convinced the US government that this is a safe thing to do. I mean, in the past 2-3 years, there's been dozens of deaths from these self-automated cars. The biggest issue that I see is they can't actually register the lights on emergency vehicles, and they've been crashing into emergency vehicles. So people that, their life is in danger are now being stopped by these self-automated cars. And, that goes hand in hand with PI. Who do you blame? Mm-hmm. Do you blame the person behind the wheel for trusting the self-automation, or do you go after Tesla, right? The person who gets injured because of these accidents, where do we go? Who do we go after? And how do we establish that liability? I think that's pretty much our day-to-day here. And it's not a clear topic. It's not a clear answer right now. And, we want to hold those responsible who are responsible. We don't want to go after anyone that's not. So going after the driver of a self-automated car when they put their trust in Tesla, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a new landscape for us to traverse, but it's going to be a factor in the next couple of years.
Absolutely. I mean, I invite self-automated cars and that technology because, in my opinion, I think you guys would agree, that's one additional party that we can add to a lawsuit. That's an additional additional pocket. So somebody that's carrying low insurance policy, we can go through that, and then we can also go after Tesla for not putting in the right parameters and being a factor, especially in a comparative fault state like California, being a factor in that collision. But what I'm gathering from you gentlemen is AI is helpful. AI is going to be a good resource for lawyers, but it'll never take over the job security of an attorney. It doesn't have the capacity. And if that day ever comes, I mean, I think we all should be concerned about bigger things, because if a robot can come and do what a trial lawyer does, or do what an attorney does, we have bigger problems, I think.
Yeah. And just speaking on the Tesla issue, they've obviously revolutionized the auto industry, and it's a great company, but too many people are relying on the artificial intelligence. It still requires input. Just going back to our previous conversation, it requires human input from human experiences, right? So that's the problem, or the concern I have, is relying on the artificial intelligence. And you can't rely on that in the legal field. You have to use your intuition and your experience and your observations and the nuance to move a case forward. You can't just rely on it. But I do think it's a great way to supplement our practice, to make things easier, to decrease the time that our clients have to wait on certain things. I think those are all great things, but you're right. I agree with you. I don't think it's not there yet, but that day may come, but it's not here yet.
Yeah. So any attorney, don't be concerned. It's something to obviously keep in your back pocket, keep in the back of your mind that the landscape is changing, but it's not going to replicate or replace an attorney. So I wouldn't be too worried about it yet, but be mindful that everything's moving and technology is forever changing. So if you can implement it into your practice, the sooner the better. The longer you wait, the more difficult it gets to implement something like that. But just keep it in mind. And that is all we have for you guys. I appreciate all of you for listening in. I hope you guys learned something, and stay tuned for the next visit. Cheers.